Trump to sanction Tinubu for attending Brics summit. I repeat, United States President Donald Trump to sanction Nigeria's President Tinubu and Nigeria as a country for attending Brics summit. What is Brics? Brics is an intergovernmental organization comprising of 10 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the UAE, United Arab Emirates. Now, Nigeria to face additional 10% tariff for aligning with Brics. That is from Trump. Now, Brics is a threat to the United States, their currency, their economy, their world power domination. Brics is a threat to world power, United States. Now, let's look at this report from Channels TV. President Donald Trump has announced that Nigeria will be among countries facing an additional 10% tariff for aligning with what he described as the anti-American policies of Brics. Like I said, Brics is a threat to America. The US president made the declaration on Sunday via a post on Truth Social, adding fresh uncertainty to global trade relations. Trump's announcement, which did not elaborate on any specific policy of Brics, came as the group's meeting was going on in Brazil. As they were having a meeting and Nigeria attended, so the sanction and everything affect Nigeria and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Brazilian government on January 17th announced the formal admission of Nigeria as a partner country of the grouping. Now here wahala start. The Brazilian government on the 17th of January 2025 announced the formal admission of Nigeria as a partner country of the grouping. Nigeria became the number 9 partner country of Brics, joining Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Thailand, Uganda, and Uzbekistan. This partner country category was created during the 16th Brics summit held in Kazan in October 2024. So Nigeria carry their leg, go join Brics in a way, and we are attracting 10% tariff imposition from the United States government. What does this mean? For instance, if you are an exporter, you're exporting from Nigeria into the United States, you will be having an additional 10% tariff on the goods you are importing. For people like our Yoruba brothers that love Amala, if you have people that are exporting Amala, Amala will be more expensive. If you are buying Amala for $10, look at 10% tariff extra that the United States government will hammer on that Amala. That means you may be buying it for 11 naira or 10% increase in whatever you are going to buy that is coming from Nigeria. So exporting from Nigeria into the United States, the US government will be adding additional 10% tariffs. It may discourage buyers. It may discourage Nigerian products from being sold in one of the largest markets in the world, which is the United States. I believe Nigeria knows have what it takes to withstand the sanctions of the United States. I've been advocating that Africa should be independent of any other person. Why would the United States want to sanction Nigeria for joining Brics? They want us to be slaves to their global empire. Yes, this is a threat to the economy of Nigeria. If you're exporting, you attract foreign currency. Look at what is being said. That they are not yet specific on what the whatever the tariff will be, the sanction. They are not specific yet. When I just manage 10% first, after 10%, we'll know what will happen next. Okay? Now look at what is being said. Any country aligning itself with the anti-American policies of Brics will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There will be no exceptions to this policy, Trump said in a post on Truth Social Sunday evening, stateside. This is the reality of the African country. Now, what did Tinubu go to do there? At the summit, President Bola Tinubu reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to the Brics partnership and the Global South. In a statement signed by the spokesperson of the president, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu declared, Nigeria therefore associates with what I have heard today and all that has happened in Brics. The next issues are financial restructuring and re-evaluation of the global structure. He noted that environmental degradation, climate crisis, and global healthcare inequalities were shared concerns pertinent to Africa. Okay? Africa has contributed the least to global emissions, but suffers the most, he added. Tinubu taking a bold step at challenging the status quo. The same way all these BRIC countries are taking a bold step to challenge United States, almighty United States. Nigeria carry body, go join body. I hope say, as Nigeria they collect, we have the stamina to collect. We have the stamina to wage all these sanctions that may be coming, or uncertain sanctions. Now, I've talked about Africa becoming independent of colonial influence, interference. Sometimes you say, when I say, one of the major problems we're having are from the West. People say, no, what are our leaders doing? Well, this is a bold step from a Tinubu with a struggling economy. Can we survive the sanctions of Trump in today's Nigeria? I'm not saying we should not join BRICS. Before we join some of these associations, let's get our act together. Let's get our leadership together. Let's get our restructuring together. Let's know that we are at a place of advantage. If you want to fight global war, if you want to play global politics, geopolitics, you must be playing from a position of advantage. You can never play from a position of disadvantage. Nigeria's GDP, Nigeria's economy, Nigeria's infrastructure, Nigeria's currency. Now the Naira is going high. Like the Naira is hitting the dollar. I don't think it's because of Tinubu policy. The dollar itself is having issues. That's why our Naira is gaining strength. If Africa can think out of the box, we can have a unified currency backed by our natural resources. It's going to be one of the strongest currency. You see, why would Nigeria not borrow from World Bank and other financial institutions? They will borrow because we have natural resources. These natural resources is our currency. Yes, but in Nigeria we have natural resources, but our currency is weak. It is because of the policies controlled by Western powers such as the US and Britain. So anytime the US sees that you are taking a position whereby you would be free from their slavery, they will now be hitting you sanctions. Look at what happened to Libya. Look at Russia. Russia then sanction, but Russia has itself intact. It has its leadership intact. It has its economy intact. It has natural resources and everything. One of the largest deposits of gas in the world. So United States sanction don't reach them anywhere. But I hope Nigeria will have our leadership intact. So that tomorrow we're not going to hear story. Now they will discourage export of some of what we export from Nigeria into the United States because of this 10% tariff. Now looking at it critically, let's look at some of the concerns. I will not support an America. I'm supporting Nigeria to stand on its ground against these imperialists. That is the whole truth. Stand your ground. We can never be spoon-fed. We don't want to be spoon-fed by anybody again. We need to take decisions on our own. Nigeria, with its own natural resources, needs to be self-sufficient. Yes, we have and can be self-sufficient. We need leadership and leaders that can take bold steps, challenging the status quo. It is not those ones that have a case filed with FBI, or they will use one or two things to be threatening them and controlling them because of what? We have people that are devoid of any scandal with the West and that are willing to take the bull by the horn. Yes, to challenge the status quo. So this statement from Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it is somewhat challenging the status quo. Whatever I saw here, they are doing in Brics. My brother, I join. That one converse Trump and co. They never start with the verse. Look at countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, Egypt, South Africa, Ethiopia. These countries have taken a bold step to liberate themselves from the shackles of whatever this West is doing. You see, these global powers, they are feeding off the livelihood of lesser countries, of weaker countries, less powerful countries such as Nigeria and co. These global powers. So I hope okay, the 10% US tariff on Brics aligned countries like Nigeria applies to imports into the US, raising costs for American buyers of Nigerian goods. This hurts Nigerian producers and exporters. This is the effect of the tariff. It hurts Nigerian producers and exporters as their products become less competitive, potentially reducing sales. It doesn't directly affect Nigerian buyers importing goods into Nigeria, but it's affecting Nigerian producers and exporters. That is the issue with what with the tariff, the effect of the tariff. Oh, you see, various newspaper outlets in Nigeria are reporting this actual thing. It shows the solidarity we are seeing today. See, anything when we talk about African liberation, when it talks about restructuring, I'm in for it. Breaking news: President Donald Trump has announced that Nigeria will be among countries facing an additional 10% tariff for aligning with what he described as anti-American policies of Brics. Self-sufficiency is the problem that America has with developing countries. They don't want you to be sufficient at all. They want you to just depend on them. Tinubu urges global reforms, equity for Africa at first Brics Summit appearance. Now they get 10% tariff. At Nigeria's debut as a Brics partner, President Tinubu called for reforms in global financial, health and climate systems to reflect Africa's needs. Speaking at the 17th Brics Summit in Brazil, he urged equity, justice and inclusion for emerging economies, emphasizing Africa's minimal emissions yet disproportionate suffering from climate and developmental challenges. Well, this is on a baby grammar. What he's saying is that Africa needs to take up its own responsibilities and solve its own problems by themselves. Africa needs a voice louder than the voice they had in the past. Yes. Now, if they are dealing with every other continent, Africa, they need to have equity, justice, and inclusion. Whatever they are discussing all over the world, because you must be part of the global economy. You cannot run in isolation. But however, you must be speaking from a position of advantage. Very well, Nigeria is not speaking from a position of advantage. If they are talking about when Iran and Israel were having their clash, someone was saying that Nigeria can do this, Nigeria can do that. Iran made us throw one missile into Asurok, you don't finish. Throw one missile into Dangote, you don't finish. Check where on a pipe, they go there for where their country, locate on a pipeline where they just bomb those pipelines, they don't finish Nigeria. That is how weak, that is how useless Nigeria is to the global community. We are only useful because of our resources, our natural resources and human resources, however, that we export to them. You know, Nigerian doctors are one of the best doctors in the world. So we are not useful only with our resources. We are just consumers and parasites. That's what we are. Because somebody says that if we can survive COVID-19, survive Buhari, What is 10% that we cannot survive? If we can survive Tinubu policies of removing subsidy, well, he says it will not be affecting Niger, it will be affecting producers. And if you are affecting exporters and producers, that means the tax you are getting from them will reduce. Yes, the tax you are getting from them will reduce. That is the reality today. We already know that there's a plan to make sure Africa is underdeveloped. And what is this plan? Now, start by making sure Africa never unites. Keep them divided along ethnic, tribe, religious lines. If they ever start working together, remind them of past grievances, stoke old wounds, fund separatist movements, keep border disputes unresolved. Make sure every time they take one step forward, they take 2 steps backward, because they are busy fighting each other. You see the plan, the colonial plan the West have for Nigeria, Africa. You know, Nigeria is the giant of Africa till tomorrow. Forget what's happening with bad leadership. Nigeria is still the giant of Africa. I'm telling you. So, now, how do you keep them under? Make sure every time they take 1 step forward, they take 2 steps backward, because they are busy fighting each other. Yes. Install leaders who serve foreign interests. Install. Use the word install. Leaders who serve foreign interests. Not their people. Find the most corrupt, the most easily manipulated, the ones who crave wealth and status more than progress. Offer them power in exchange for loyalty. If a leader rises who cares about Africa, get rid of them. Assassinate them if necessary. If it gets too messy, just destabilize their government and back a coup. If they talk about nationalizing resources, make an example out of them. If they try to unite Africa, take them out before the idea spreads. You must keep Africa economically weak by making sure it doesn't industrialize. Now, this one pay me pass. Let them export raw materials but never process them themselves. Control the mines, the oil fields, the rare earth minerals. Keep them selling cheap and buying expensive. If a country tries to break free and build its own industries, sabotage it, place sanctions, destabilize its currency, fund local opposition, crash its economy, if that doesn't work, orchestrate a civil war. People can't build when they are too busy trying to survive. You see that life? People cannot build. Like what Nigeria is facing today. Hatred, Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, Yoruba. We're having rife. We cannot. You cannot. If a country tries to break free, build its own industry, sabotage it, place sanctions, destabilize its currency, fund local opposition, crash its economy, if that doesn't work, orchestrate a civil war, people cannot build when they are too busy to survive. You make sure their education system produce workers and not innovators. Teach them history that glorifies their oppressors. Make them think their cultures are primitive. Their ancestors are savages. Their future depends on foreign approval. Like this 10% tariff now. It looks like, okay, from slam us, whatever. It's a problem to us. How can we survive? My brother, we go survive. If we get our acts right, we go survive. Look at Burkina Faso. Send them away, send them packing. Train them to memorize and not think critically. I will get Peking, put them for school. Where they don't allow and think critically at the case. I will put them for school where we say, beyond what is being taught, you have a mind of your own to start exploring other things, thinking critically out of the box. Keep their best and brightest looking overseas for opportunities. Make them dream of escaping Africa rather than fixing it. Offer scholarships that take their top minds to the West and never encourage them to return. Let the continent keep training doctors and engineers only for them to go and enrich other nations. Own their narratives. Own their media. Dictate their stories. Dictate the image to the world. Make them believe they are corrupt and hopeless. Make sure they remain dependent. Drown them in debt. Offer loans with impossible conditions. Make them privatize everything so foreign corporations own their water, their electricity, their land. When they struggle, give them foreign aid to keep them alive and not make them self-sufficient. Our leaders know, do like say they don't see. Make them think foreign intervention is necessary. Make them think they can't solve their own problems, but always need help from outside. Serve them weapons to fight each other, but never let them build high-tech military technology. This is the reality that we are faced today. Africa. US doesn't want you to industrialize. That's why it can sanction you left. They believe that they are the biggest market. Look at their standoff with China economically. How the US was able to bow. They respected China, that China, they are not a small fish to fry you. China don't liberate themselves economically. So if you are sanctioning China, they have the market, they have the industry, they have the wherewithal, they can create more markets. Usually, US becomes one of the biggest markets for China. But now, you get how US go do now, China if you change their mind, say, okay, we'll reduce our influence or our markets or whatever, whether it's cyber or whatever. So that is what is their plan. They don't want you to amount to anything. They don't want you to move forward at any point in time. I hope Tinubu stands his ground and get what he wants. See, whatever it is that makes Nigeria restructure, whatever it is that makes Nigeria go to the drawing board and remove the finger of the Fulani and the colonial masters, the imperialists, from this our map or mere geographic expression. I'm there. Anywhere they are going to do it, I volunteer myself. I volunteer myself with 5 RAM. Let them restructure this country. Because the enemies that come to tell us, we are your friends, you are your friends, they are the ones that doesn't want us to prosper. That is the United States. And whoever that is. I'm telling you, they don't want us to prosper. But at the end of the day, like I told you, in few days, months, weeks to come, something that will shock you will happen. I keep on saying this, and it seems like people don't understand what I'm saying. Something that is shocking will happen, and at the end of the day, everybody go. Imagine Trump, you are sanctioning Tinubu and Nigeria because he attended Brics. What does Trump want? What do you people want? What? Well, however, may God help Nigerians.